All right, so after leaving the southwest side of Chicago, Preston and Sullivan decided to go check out what's going on with their Tremere contact in that little map they were given to see what exactly it is they're getting into. It's an interesting setup for them. Let's see how it goes. All right, so you guys will basically leave the neighborhood, start going back towards 90, then get back onto Lakeshore and start making your way back up north. You pull down through Lower Wacker, and you try to find some sort of sense of what's going on with this map that was drawn, because it's clearly not to scale. There are a couple landmarks marked, and you're like, all right, well, are there any turns between here and that turn? And you try to pull up your map, but you're on Lower Wacker, which means you're not getting shit for maps down here. But luckily, you managed to rummage through the glove box and find an old map of the city, physical map inside, Sullivan's glove box. So you match that up and you finally find your way. Roughly, say about 10 minutes before 11 is when you find the right spot. Literally, you have to park about, I'd say, 2 blocks away from where your final destination is. Because the way that Lower Wacker works, you pull off to the side and where you have the building loading grounds and all that back there, you park by one of those and you have to start walking through a lot of the underground here. You do come to a point as you guys have had to leave the car and start walking like a block, then 2 blocks down through these half abandoned streets and like basement, tunnels. You come to a old building basement that's been sealed off almost completely. Now, there's not a lot of light down here. So some of the time you guys are using your cell phone lights to kind of navigate. Some of the times you have like maybe a little bit of a yellowish burning light that from one of the building, like, doors down here or an old basement. Sometimes you'll pass by like a little passageway that has people like huddled around like a fire for warmth down here. On the plus side, where you're at, there's not a lot of wind. So that freezing ass cold biting wind that kind of bursts through everywhere else in the city doesn't touch you here. It's just this dead cold. So as you continue on, you guys come to this old building door that looks like it's been sealed up. And roughly down the side of this tunnel, you hear this old creaking metal gateway just open. And when you hear it kind of open, you see this little light kind of shine through like an old halogen bulb that's kind of losing its light because it flickers a little bit. You hear that telltale clink, clink, clink as it kind of flickers on and off. And in that doorway, you see a figure shrouded in shadow, the light behind them. And you hear a voice whisper out, "Hey, you Preston?
Yep,
That Lamont, or is that Sullivan?
this is Sullivan.
Come on, hurry up. We only got a small window of opportunity here."
All right, we'll head over to him.
You make your way over towards him. Or her. You can't really tell. This person's just bundled up in like really thick, large fitting, loose fitting clothing. The face is completely covered, not only by like looks like an old ratty hooded sweater that's up over their face, but also this like pure white face mask. It almost looks like somebody went and bought like one of those laughing or crying masks, just threw it on, and then covered that with like a bit of a scarf. All right, listen. Where I'm taking you, and they start walking down this passageway. It's this narrow passageway. It's got to be maybe at most 4 feet wide. So it's a little uncomfortable. It's old bricks that are just covered with grime and dust. There's a little bit of, it looks like either trickling water or sewage or whatever the hell it is. With the smell down here, you can't really tell which, but it just kind of like trickles through the middle of this little alleyway or gangway. There's no lights except for this little halogen that's at the beginning of the entrance, but he's leading you back through this tunnel and talking as he's facing, or it is facing away from you. As they start speaking again, the light slowly starts to fade away as you start walking, and they go, "Listen, we got a small window opportunity here. Quincy gave me a call after I called him to let him know what's going on, and we have a very short period of time where Trina's not being watched by anybody. I'm taking you to a backup Chantry. We need to say that nobody else knows about. Now, security does come down here a lot, which is why we have this small window of time to get there. Somebody dropped Trina off to DeSable. I don't know who it was. I don't know when it was, but I know about a week ago she was brought down here and she's been locked up in this room. She's being questioned, and there's something really fucked up with her aura. We don't know what it is, But when I talked to Quincy, he informed me that House Gortritz wants to question this person personally, which is why I'm reaching out to you. Now, I know that you guys are doing your whole hideout thing with the Torador clan, and I really appreciate that. But we need to get you in here to question her as much as you want to. Within an hour, you need to be out. All right? We have one ally on the inside. You've probably seen her before. Sun Che. Asian woman, member of the Tremere clan openly. She's been on Elysium. Sullavin has seen her. Preston saw her in passing when she was talking to Tracy Graves. When you guys went to the art suite a couple of games ago. Sullivan saw her most of the time, but Preston would have saw her in passing. So as your guide leads you further into this maze of tunnels.
So we're House Gortritz?
That's what he said. So
cool.
Who fucking knows? So, yep. So your guide leads you down through this maze of tunnels, and you come across this area where you see them stop, and it's at the end of this like narrow walkway you've been going down. It's been kind of twisting and turning back and forth, and they look down and they lean down towards the floor, touch a spot on the floor, whisper a few words in Latin. And you guys, as you're attuned to blood magic, feel like a small wave of like power emanate through the area really quick as the ward gets dropped.
I was about to say, is it functioning like a ward? Because that's my one ritual is a ward.
Yep, it feels exactly like a ward. And as they stand back up, they try to gesture towards you. Please come this way. Go down, and you'll see they walk out past the mouth of this tunnel, and you're now in what looks like the basement of an old like hotel. Unused, looks like it was the servants area and like the laundry areas. You can see some of the piping still down here, and there's a couple of fluorescent lights that are kind of lit a little further into the room. The floor is like this old green concrete that's peeling. There are a couple of like, junction boxes on the walls here, and you hear the hum of machinery from farther into the building itself or this area. And
how
your
long
guy
are we walking again?
Probably about 20 minutes or so, like 2 blocks or maybe 3.
Can I potentially roll a streetwise to kind of place where we are in the city if we've been walking 20 minutes from where we entered?
I'll let you give it a roll.
Just so I can kind of figure out what might be above us. Intelligence streetwise? Wits?
I would say wits. Because you're kind of going off, you're not using a map or any of your other reference materials, you're just going off what you can remember.
3. Actually, there's a 10, there's a 10, so that's 4, right?
It's a messy critical is what it is. Yeah. Let's see what we can do for you here.
Is it possible to use a willpower for it not to be a messy critical? Or does willpower not quite work like that?
Oh, just go with it.
All right, so yeah, you're looking around, you kind of sniff the air a bit, and your beast knows a bit of where you're at. It seems to kind of have a sense of where you've been feeding in the areas and where you've hunted down in some of the more juicy bits of blood. And here, you start getting flashes of being close to the Art Institute of Chicago, actually. Okay. We'll say roughly, since you got such a great amount of success, the last big spilling of blood here was at the Art Institute that you recall. That was when you guys watched Malenkov just wipe the floor with all the ghouls outside. And your beast remembers that unrestrained act of violence. You would put where you're at roughly, I'd say close to, if not under, the Palmer House Hotel. Your guide, they gestured towards the area, deeper into the room. Says, listen, Sunche will be roughly around that area. Don't worry too much because she's... Let's just say I managed to convince the other her to come out and play for a bit. So that'll be around for a while. While it is, she will most certainly lead you to where you've got to go.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see them kind of pull back and start heading back down the tunnel you guys came from, leaving you alone in the darkness. Well, there's some fluorescent light here, so it's not completely dark.
Start walking.
Okay. You guys start walking through this old abandoned, like 1920s-esque laundry room, and you make your way out of this large concrete room, essentially this vault that you're in, into a couple of hallways. And as you get out there, you realize that the floor, while dusty, has been relatively well cleared. People have been walking back and forth so much that the dust kind of blows off to the sides. You can see cobwebs up in the corners of the hallway. There are those old light fixtures that basically you can see the electrical like conduits for that run across the ceiling go to this circular fixture, and there's the occasional like bulb that's there. Maybe every other one's out. So roughly every 15 feet or so, you get another light that's really dimly lit if it works properly at all. Otherwise, it's flickering. That just click on and off as the power is a little bit unreliable down here. Now, for two vampires that are very much saturated in the powers of blood magic, because your entire line, revolves around it, you can feel a lot of strength, a lot of powerful magics are emanating throughout this place. Now, you do hear occasionally what sounds of footsteps going down the hall the other way. The hall, when you walk onto it, stretches at least 30 or 40 feet either direction before you actually get any intersections. You do see a couple of like little breaks in the wall where you assume another room is at, but you don't really see anybody out in the open quite yet.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like we're looking for Sunshay. So I mean, I'll listen to see if I can hear anybody in either direction, like with like bite senses.
As you focus your senses and they kind of burst into this like brilliant like level of detail, you start hearing almost like the hum of electricity going through the conduits above you. You hear the clicking of the lights as they flicker on and off far down either hallway direction. You hear those footsteps kind of walking down the halls, approaching towards you from your right, like maybe 25, 30 feet away. You hear them bouncing off the corners and off this concrete, hallway. And you hear just barely underneath that the slight hum of a feminine voice.
Okay, cool. Well, then if that is approaching, I will wait.
You guys wait there for maybe 2 or 3 minutes before you see a figure emerge from one of the side rooms, and she starts walking towards you. She's roughly 5'6" in height. This woman, in the light that you can see as it flashes down upon her, she's wearing like this very plain black suit. Black, suit jacket, black slacks, black, button-up shirt. She's got her hair pulled back, but there's blood all over the corners of her mouth dripping down to her neck. And she's just humming this like very like upbeat tune to herself as she's walking towards you. Her fingernails are painted a very beautiful, like gleaming fire engine red. But as she snaps her fingers in time with her tune, you see a bit of blood flick off her fingers as she does so. It kind of splatters against the walls. And in your hearing, you hear each one just kind of hit against the walls and the concrete as she makes her way towards you. The smell of blood starts to really hit you, at least Sullivan, a little later than it does for Preston, but it hits you maybe about 5 feet further as she gets towards you. So maybe about 15 feet away is when you actually start to really smell the blood. It's fresh, it's human. You don't really get a good sense of resonance of this distance, but it is fresh. And as she sees you, as she gets closer, you see a smile spread across her face. And it's an odd difference from what you saw when you last spotted her on Elysium. Before that was a calm, collected. She was trying to deal with Tracy Graves about some things. I mean, she was a little animated, sure, but, she was pretty much put together. Here, she looks like she's deranged. She looks like her entire personality has been warped somehow. And the look on her face is just gleeful. You see her eyes are like wild. They're open. She's flushed with fresh blood. When she speaks, her voice is like down an octave, so a little deeper than it was the last time you heard her talk. She's like, "Oh, our other housemates. Well, not quite our housemates, but housemates nonetheless. You're here for the captive one."
That's right.
Follow me. She'll
Well.
smile, turn on her heel, and she will lead you guys back the way she came from. And as she rounds that corner, you will see the room she came out of. Looks like a small study room. There's like a bookshelf, a little bit of like a desk light that's shining in throughout that area. You can see a bunch of books are open on a large desk. You see a map of the city with a couple of things kind of sketched out. You don't really read the language. It's all in like either Mandarin or Cantonese script. You're not quite sure which one. It's just complicated characters to you guys. It's just written on the map. And inside that room on the floor as you pass, you see what looks like a mortal janitor by the outfit that he's wearing, like the overalls. Then you see like the Palmer House like stitching on the side. His throat has been ripped completely open, and he's been just left to bleed out on the floor.
Right.
She walks by it like it's nothing, very casually stepping over like a small little like rivulet of blood that's kind of flowed out the door and into the hallway. She carries you guys down this hall for probably about a good 5 or 10 minutes. It turns maybe once or twice, and you come to another hall, but there's a door straight ahead of you. Like we're at T intersection, there's a door right in front of you, and that door is closed, and you see like a padlock on it. She hums as she walks towards it. You see her pull a key, like an old, like skeleton-looking key, out of the inside pocket of her jacket. She goes and grabs the lock. You hear it click inside as she turns it. There's a little sensation, at least in Preston's like heightened senses, of some rust falling off and flaking from this lock as it's kind of forced open, and a loud creak, and a sudden thunk as it kind of like finally latches open completely. She opens it up, opens the door, pushes that door open completely, and you see inside this room there's a single chair, and you can see Trina's been bound into it. She's got a burlap sack over her head. You can see that by the looks of her bindings, she's occasionally let loose, because there's several marks on her arms where it looks like they've been tied down to like the arms of the chair, then released and retied. Behind her, you see a small like cooler against the wall. Looks like a cooler you would take like to the beach. But from the inside, especially with Preston's heightened senses, you can smell there's stored blood in there. It has that weird, like medical, almost like sterile smell that treated blood and collected blood has, because all the anticoagulants and all that stuff they pump into it. Sunshade just gestures. She's all yours for the next, I'd say, hour or so.
I'm guessing that she needs to be intact when I leave.
I really don't care. It's Dusable's pet project, not mine.
Thank you.
Of course. You two have fun. And she'll just turn her heel and start heading back the way she came, leaving you guys in this empty hall with Trina in the room in front of you.
I'll walk in the room, close the door.
Okay. Sullivan going in as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. You two walk in, you close this door. Now this door, it's like an old like metal door. You know, like it's a little dented here and there. It's cool to the touch. You shut it and it gives like a metallic clink as it completely closes itself. And as the knob and all that fastens into place. There's a single light in this room hanging from the ceiling on a cord. Like maybe I'd say 2 or 3 feet above your head.
I'll pull it so that there's a little bit of light.
Okay. It clicks on, shines this like yellowish light down around you guys.
Right, because otherwise it wouldn't be there'd be no light to see.
Pretty much, yeah.
Each other, yeah, okay.
And you see the burlap covered head kind of tilt, and you hear this sniff sound. Preston, is that you?
I'll pull the sack off of her head.
You slide the sack off, and you see Trina beneath it. You can see that they've cut her eyelids off and packed her eyes with salt completely. So when she looks up at you, some of it falls away, and it's like bloodyish red tinged, like crumbles.
I'll circle to the front of her. Is there like another chair, or is her chair the only one?
Her chair is the only one here.
Okay. I'll just kind of like kneel down in front of her and look at her. How'd you end up here?
Your savior brought me here.
I'm going to need you to tell me exactly what Narissa Blackwater is up to.
She's bringing us to the truth. There's a prophet of the Dark Mother beneath the lake.
There's something down there. I'm just not sure it's what Narissa thinks it is. Definitely not something that even she can handle.
You'll hear her laugh. And it's a bit of humor, but also a bit of sadness. But it's directed towards you in particular. Preston, I told you should just go home.
I'm a little bit alarmed at how quickly you just turn your back on the Bahari and allow yourself to be corrupted by this cultivar nonsense.
There's no turning back on. It's embracing this new truth. The mother works in very interesting ways, and this transformation is one of the most painful I've ever had. Therefore, I know it's a true message. Plus, the presence of her messenger is powerful.
So what do you suppose happens to you now? You're
Either
here. Dusable has you. What do you think he's going to do with you?
If he kills me, he deals with Prince Jackson. If he lets me go, he deals with the Bahari. Really, his best bet is to kill me.
I would agree.
And I don't fear that at all.
Good. And you haven't forgotten everything.
I've only embraced the truth that you've run away from.
I didn't run away from anything. I just didn't give into it so easily.
When it's brought me such delights, and she kind of moves her head towards you again, and you see her kind of move her eyes enough to where some of the salt starts to fall away. And it looks like they've literally cut her eyes open and packed them with salt.
So curious. Narissa is apparently the light in the way and doing all these powerful things. She's just going to let you sit here. In all her wisdom, she doesn't know where you are, has no idea, doesn't care about you.
If she came to rescue me from the pain I'm experiencing, I'd be concerned that she wasn't the light in the way. I have to persevere and push through this. If I do not, I fail, I die. And that's fine. I expect that. If I do, I will have more lessons to share. And a glorious vengeance to reap upon House Tremere. But the fact that you're not as angry as I'd assume you'd be, I've been down here for... You see your kind of head kind of shift a bit. I'd assume a little over a week since we last met, so to speak. You're not angry, which means you don't know yet.
I've been a
Sullivan
little bit
will
out of
just smirk.
I've been a little bit out of commission. Why don't you fill me in?
You know, we held a mortal side for the followers of Lilith, those that want to approach the wisdom of the Dark Mother even while still alive. Note the tense I used.
What did you do?
I've been here. I've done nothing. However, I'm sure all those that have come to the light now have done their due diligence and seen to the great ritual suffering that we were to put in place for the Mother's Herald.
So you know what I have to do.
I don't know what you have to do. Why don't you try doing what you want to do?
I'll just kind of look over at Preston and be like, is it weird that I want to let her go? Because I want to see what she's going to do to Tremere. I'll just be laughing.
She chuckles. You see her kind of let her head hang a bit. And she does like a heavy shake. You see more of that bloody salt start pouring out of her empty eye sockets.
Now, the thing that concerns me, Ray, as a thaumaturge, I know if I can see someone, I can affect someone. I don't know if she knows thaumaturgy, but I don't know what she knows now that she's been re-embraced.
It wasn't the ritual re-embrace. Preston knew that for a fact.
But she's been afflicted.
Yeah,
clearly.
She's been changed somehow. Like her entire personality is different when you guys last met her. Well, at least all of you met her. Preston on the boat, she was kind of like this already. So
I'll pick up the bag and just kind of be fiddling with it.
the burlap sack.
Too much more salt, and I'm gonna have to cover this bitch's head up again because she crazy. I saw what fucking she was doing through his eyes. Fuck that.
Ray, I'm trying to figure out here if there's anything I'm missing in terms of any other information I might want to try to get out of her or ask her about. It seems pretty clear to me now that the cultivar has basically eradicated the Bahari, or at least converted them completely in this city. And like, I just don't know how much more Trina could actually tell me.
Who knows? I mean, so here's the thing. Trina was the kindred leadership. She was a high priestess of the Bahari Garden in Chicago. Your touchstone, Ryan, handled the mortal side. He was the mortal tender to the flock. So they worked in tandem. You could try contacting him, but the illusions she's putting down, there may be no answer to see if there's anybody still in the Bahari worth or able to be salvaged. But on the flip side, you can see if you can use her to track down Narissa if you want to. You could use her for a ritual to try to track down Narissa. Again, if you want to. You could take her for her blood to analyze and see if there's something that's been changed in that with your blood magic, if you want to. You could check her aura. Actually, I don't know if you have aura perception. Do you? Okay.
I don't believe that I do. No.
Not until the end of the game, anyways.
Because yeah, that's something that your contact, they told you,
don't.
like, yeah, her aura's fucked up. We don't know what it is. But then again, Preston felt that his aura had changed too, so you can maybe have an idea what it might be. But really, questioning wise, what do you think she can help? She can tell you. It's obviously going to be something around the cultivar and how far they're gone. But what it sounds like, given your knowledge of cults and the occult in general, there's really not much more she can tell you that you don't already know or suspect. Obviously, the cultivar had been working on converting the Bahari, and when they fully converted Trina, they may have gotten all the Bahari, which is another huge fucking problem, because if the Bahari are performing rituals of pain and sacrifice, that could be undoing any work you guys are doing to keep whatever's in the lake asleep.
Yep. That's what I'm afraid of.
And that means there's definitely more of them at this point than there are of you. Unless you reach out to the Larson cause and find out about the nest of Baali that he has at his beck and call that could potentially help you out. But that's betraying Quincy's trust.
Yep.
So it's a hairy situation. If you want to keep her alive, there are definitely things you can use her for. But if you want to kill her, that also makes sense too. And you guys do have a full hour with her.
So just so you know, I'm fiddling with this, Preston, because I saw what you saw, and I don't know her capabilities. So the more salt that falls out of her eyes, the more she'll effectively be able to see and thus affect you. One way or the other. I mean, there's a lot of our abilities as vampires that just require sight.
Good call. I think I got to kill her.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But not really.
But she was corrupted and completely bastardized to what she once represented, and she was, in essence, manipulated, because what she actually serves is not anything close to what she thinks she serves.
No.
Or once wanted to serve.
And there's no walking it back. Like there's obviously no coming back from it at this point. And now they're participating in something that is actively going to undermine what we're doing, and we can't have that.
Oh, and not just what we're doing. It's gonna potentially completely fuck the city. More, maybe.
Yeah.
Think of it like a plague.
Well, Trina, it was something. And I'm disappointed. Ray, I'm going to kill her.
I'm going to throw the bag back over her head before he does.
So as you finish off what you say, she raises her head and kind of tilts it towards you. You see her smile, and she distends her fangs. And you hear the scratching on the wood as her feral talons erupt from her fingernails and kind of push against the grains. At that point, Sullivan pops that burlap sack back over her head. She doesn't seem to be struggling. She seems to be amused by this, because you hear a slight chuckle from through the burlap. How do you kill her, Preston?
I'm going to take that 6-inch knife that I took off from the truck, and I'm going to put it through her eyes.
Oh, you're going to do her dirty.
Yep.
So you unsheath the 6-inch blade, and you grab the back of the burlap sack to hold it steady. And you raise the blade and just go to essentially try to scramble her into torpor. There's a bit of wet warmth that splatters against the burlap sack. And you can feel it against the tops of your hand as you're driving the blade home repeatedly. After a few moments, she stops squirming. But being a kindred yourself, the undead condition, at most she's in torpor. You're not going to kill her like this. You have to either take off the head, expose her to sunlight, or burn her to death. Now you got a 6-inch blade.
Her tainted soul.
Yeah, or consume her tainted. This is very true. You could delve into that. Right now, the way you're going about this, messily and beastly, you're going to get a stain. Because remember, be creative and cultured in your evil. Anything else is beneath you. You're doing this the dirty way and the quick way. Well, for what you have on hand is a quick way. So you will take a stain for that. How do you want to finish her off? You got her in torpor easily. You could drink her down. which will definitely get you more stains because there's nothing to gain by a soul lost in such a way. You could try to burn her to death with some of the electrical cables here if you want to do like, a technology roll to kind of fiddle something together, or you could just saw away at her neck and try to cut it off or rip her head from her shoulders with, your strength.
Is there a way that I could make it look ritualistic? And maybe make it look like it was like other cultivar?
Give me an occult roll, and I will let your specialty apply here. I'm going to say your difficulty is going to be about a 3. Do you want to use any of your dice?
Yes, I will use 2 dice. Do you want occult and intelligence?
I'm going to say wits because you're doing this on the fly in the moment. You're trying to look for something in some way you can make this like a ritualistic slaying. So I'm going to say wits.
Okay, occult plus wits. I've got 6.
Wow. So you only needed 3. So with the 6 successes, you're looking around, you're trying to figure out, like, hey, what can I use that's going to make this look, or how can I perform this? May look like the cultivar broke in here and took care of her. And you basically come upon this idea of ritual dismemberment. Drawn out, at least it looks like it was drawn out, over time to make it more painful as possible, and basically scatter her about the room, into the corners, the cardinal directions anyways. That's one way to do it. With the knife you have, you could do it. It's going to take a little bit of time. Roughly, you've got about 45 minutes before you were told to get out of here. It's going to be really close unless you both work and both perhaps arouse the blood for like some physical strength or, a bit of more of a oomph.
That's what I was going to suggest is I'll help him out. Between the two of us, like our extensive knowledge in occult, and just our ability, like doubling the work, working together, we could definitely fabricate some shit.
Yeah, I'll direct him accordingly based on the number of successes that I got to help make this go quicker.
Okay. I'm not going to have you guys roll. Essentially, you do this in the course of about 15, 20 minutes. So you're about, I'd say 30 or so minutes into your hour by the time you have it done. You will both take another stain. While you're trying to do this to frame another group, this isn't quite really your nature of carnage. So Jeff, you'll be at 1 stain for this scene. Preston will be at 2 stains for this scene. And you will effectively dismember her and leave her the cardinal directions. You'll manage to get some of the blood that's in the bags in the cooler, to use it to inscribe some sort of glyphs around things you would think the cultivar are kind of into, given the little you know about them. And you leave them around the room. Now, with that all done, you'll see the pieces of her start to slowly decompose a bit as she's aging to her death age. The scent of rotten flesh kind of hits the air, and you will hear off in the distance footsteps. It's been deathly quiet this entire time you've been here, except for your conversation, and now the steps that are coming down the halls. What do you guys do?
Fuck out of here is what we should do.
Yeah, we'll just leave.
Okay. So you guys exit the room.
My obfuscate before we exit the room, of course.
Unseen passage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Preston goes out first, and Sullivan vanishes behind him.
Yeah.
As you guys get out of the room, you close the door. The lock is still there. You can go ahead and lock that back if you'd like.
I will.
You pick up that chunky piece of metal and just slam it together. You hear it click as you manage to get the lock back in, and you start heading back the way you came. I do need a wits plus awareness to see if you can successfully navigate back to where you came from. You will only need 2 successes. Cumulative, but every roll is going to take you about 10 minutes of walking. Oh, very nice, sir. So Preston, you take a couple minutes as you're walking back to where you came. You stop at an intersection or two, kind of look down the halls, re-examine where you're at, and you manage to make your way out towards where you were coming from. Now, as you get to the laundry room that you guys originally entered this building in, you see Sunshea is walking around, but she looks lost. She's like, why am I here? I don't remember coming down this way. And she just kind of stops at an intersection, like maybe 10 or so feet away from you guys. And it's just paused, and she looks confused as she's looking around. She looks back the way she came from, away from you guys. And you see her slowly start to turn back in your direction. Now, she's not going to see Sullivan, but Preston is visible unless you want to try to hide.
I will stop and I will use Cloak of Shadows.
Okay, so you like just behind the corner and you blend in the
Yes.
surroundings.
Yes.
You shut yourself off to the world around you. You see her gaze kind of sweep over where you were standing, completely misses you. And she's like, "What? Why?" And she just wipes the blood from her mouth. She's like, "Why am I? Oh no, not again." And you see her panicked run down the hall back the way she had come from.
Okay.
Say, let the other her come out and play. So
Yes. Once she fucks off, then I'll keep going.
Okay. You guys make it back into that large, like old abandoned laundry room where you guys are coming through. You walk through the door, you walk across that concrete floor towards the back door you guys came in, make it out there, and you start going back towards the passageways where your guide had basically dropped the ward. You make it out through that little tunnel, that little narrow gangway. It's like 4 feet wide again. It's really cramped quarters. You get back out into the main parts of the undercity. And as you start walking back towards where you left the car, you get maybe a block away, like a block north towards Lower Wacker where you parked, and you hear this whistling. And this figure stops just in the light of a flickering halogen bulb. And he's a tall, lanky gentleman wearing this suit with not a top hat, but like a fedora that's a little dusty. And he stops and smiles and looks in your direction. And as Bordruff looks at you, the mask he was wearing when he saw you outside your place starts to like flicker and fade, and you see his Nosferatu visage. These red, beady eyes, this angry like countenance that's just constantly etched into his face. And he pulls a cigarette from a very wrinkled pack in his inside jacket pocket, lights it up and looks down at Preston. You know, it's funny that I keep running into you, looking for the last people who were with Mercy.
If we keep getting caught together like this, people are going to start talking.
People are going to talk. And he puts a cigarette in his mouth, lights it from the Zippo, puts a Zippo in his pocket, and starts taking a drag as he walks across this nasty, like, scattered filth covered, concrete floor towards your direction. I know you had to have seen her. Every time I go out looking for her, I run into you guys. The last she saw had to have been you guys. So I want you to tell me where the fuck she was and where your friends are.
Uh,
be maneuvering behind Bordruff just in case.
I'm sorry. You have to excuse me. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Mercy Valdez, caitiff, beautiful girl, half black, half Mexican.
I don't know this. I don't know who that is.
Well, let me tell it to you this way. I'll take another drag off the cigarette, flick the ashes. I have ways to find people, to sniff out the last people they were around. And I keep on coming back to you and your friends. I know you were around her when she died.
She's dead?
Yes.
I don't have the foggiest fucking idea. Maybe she was just in the vicinity. Like, I don't know how your thing works. Maybe she was just in the area and something happened. I don't know. Maybe we just run the same areas. I have no idea. I haven't seen her. I don't know who that is.
This girl,
I'm sorry,
was a social worker. Beautiful green eyes, had great connections with her church, did what she could. I appreciate that about her. And I'm going to tell you, and he'll ash again, I'll be nice to you up there. Mostly because I have to. But I will fucking eat you down here if you do not tell me what you know.
And I totally respect that, and I believe you. I believe that you back up your words with action, like no problem, and like that's totally fine. But really, like if I had anything that I could tell you, I would absolutely tell you. I mean, I'm a reasonable guy. I'm sure you've heard of me. That I'm a pretty honest person. You can trust me. And I'm gonna try to entrance him.
Okay. Like I didn't see this coming.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna use 2 more dice.
That's probably a good call, sir.
Yeah. All right. So you're going to use 2 more. Let me mark that off for you. I'm going to spend 1
All right.
from the NPC dice to make us even. at 4 and 4.
You would.
I have faith you can do this.
1 modifier. I get 5.
Yes. Tie
I
goes
got-
to me.
Oh, you son of a gun. All right, so I got 5. You got 5. You guys are the protagonists. You'll win on ties. You feel as you kind of reach out your supernatural power of charisma, you feel Bordriff fight against it. Like he almost shrugs you off. But the last minute, he flicks his spear on the ground and just takes a breath, as useless as it is for Kindred. And he exhales his heavy sigh. Listen, I just want to know where she was when it happened. That's it. You can tell me that, I'll look into it. You don't have anything to do with it, you have nothing to worry about. I just need to know where it was so I can find out who was involved.
Out of game rate, who the hell is he talking about?
Can I tell him?
Yes.
The caitiff that you unstaked, or did I unstake her? One of us unstaked her when we went and checked out the guys with the blue cloaks that tried to kill the hunters.
Oh,
She was one of the vampires that ended up jumping on the werewolves.
Oh,
So we helped her technically, because otherwise she'd have been totally screwed.
She was still killed, though.
yeah, we helped her.
That's true, but
We helped her to die a little bit later.
to have a fighting chance. That's the way I would see it.
You know what? I'll tell you what. And I if this ends up being a dead end, I'm sorry, but it's really all that I know. I heard that some shit went down with a woman. I didn't get a name. With a woman at this place. There was a big ruckus that went down. I heard somebody might have died, and it was at, and I'll give him the address of
the abandoned U-Haul like storage area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll give him that building. So
Okay.
that's all I heard. It's the only thing I can think of that maybe, you know what I mean, there could have been some cross where we were passing through and she, you know, this person you're looking for may have been there. You can check that out. That's really all that I know.
All right. You see him adjust his suit jacket. He's obviously uncomfortable. He's just sitting in his anger right now. Like, why don't you get the fuck out of here, man? You don't want to be seen down here. They got Tremere somewhere around here, so just be careful.
Yeah. Fuck that. I don't want to mess with no Tremere. Yeah, I'll go. Good luck to you. Yeah, and we'll head out.
All right. You guys will leave Bordruff stewing in his own anger. You make it slowly back to the SUV where you have it parked off of Whacker. Well, a little ways away from Whacker. Get back to it. Car is perfectly fine. No more broken windows or notes left for you. You get into it. It starts up perfectly fine. It turns right over. Where are you guys going? It's like probably midnight at this point.
Where do you want to go? You hungry? You're normally hungry this time of night.
I'm okay. I sort of feel like shit.
Why?
But I'm not hungry. Just that shit with Trina.
Yeah.
Not the way I would have preferred to have gone down.
She would have potentially been a potent sacrifice, a follower of a whole nother child.
I don't know. I don't know about getting her out of there, and then I don't know. I think the right thing was done.
And we don't have Lamont here.
Yeah, I think
with all of us.
The right thing was done, but the way that it went down, I would have preferred it to be differently, but it is what it is, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe we should try and find to see if there's an Elysium or something.
Sure. It's not like we're far from the majority of them. You can
You
always make a phone call. Be the easiest way.
Yeah. Who to call? You know what? I will call.
Oh, and when Jason asks why the fuck I would trade a boon away, just tell him I'm new to politics. I wasn't sure yet, and you wanted me to find out the hard way.
Oh yeah, I fully intended on telling him that you're dumb.
Perfect.
And that's why.
Hey, we got to keep the ruse.
Speaking of which, that's who I'll call.
All right. So you guys
call Jason.
Pull out of Lower Whacker and back to where you can actually get cell reception, and you ring up Jason Newberry. It rings like maybe once, starting the second time, and he picks up. He's like, "Hello, what can I do for you, Mr. Preston?"
Hey, have not talked to you in quite a while.
It has been
Uh,
very quiet on your end, and I'm somewhat hurt. But
I
we can make amends.
I understand, and I'm calling to hope to rectify that. I'm sure there's something going on this evening uh, where a lot of individuals are gathered. Uh, are you participating?
I am. I'm actually just pulling up to the Succubus Club now.
Ah, excellent. Well, we are on our way there, and we will see you soon.
Hey, really quick though, before you get off the phone,
Yeah.
were you really up with those Lindia people? You know what I mean? Because our president is really pissed at them right now.
Oh! I heard. I mean, I knew some people, but that's
Yeah, I
about it.
knew you knew one of them, but I wasn't sure if like friends of yours. But if they are, freebie, watch out because they're gonna get fucked.
Ah, appreciate the heads up. Yeah. No friends, just people I knew, but yeah, the heads up definitely appreciated.
Cool. Well, we'll see you tonight, man. Look forward to seeing you around. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, also,
Yeah.
that shadow bitch hasn't been around in the last week or two, so I'm hoping it's a permanent thing. You know what I mean?
I don't think that it is.
Why you gotta break my heart, Preston?
I gotta be honest with you. I don't want to disappoint. I know you're disappointed, but I'd feel bad if I didn't tell
In
you.
this bleak existence of what we call an unlife, life, life, I like to have my little hopes now and again. And when you take them from me, it really fucking sucks, man.
Would it make you feel any better if I told you that perhaps that entire situation, while perhaps still rolling, is slightly humbled?
I'll take the small win. It's a little victory.
There you
Tiny
go.
little W flag in my corner, but I'll take it. And we'll see you and the rest of the trio tonight, yeah?
Just it'll be just a duo. Just myself and Sullivan.
Are you two involved? Do you have a toward love affair under the surface here that the people in power shouldn't know about because he's got no standing and you do, and it's a scandal waiting to happen?
That would be a Romeo and Romeo thing to have happen, but no, it's not. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that I haven't experimented, but no, we're not involved in such a way.
All right. Double disappointment tonight, but I'll live with it. See you when you get here.
See you soon.
I'll hang out.
Succubus Club.
Ooh, off we go.
You guys will head a bit north and pull around. You'll pass the Archdiocese of Chicago as you head down towards the Succubus Club alleyway
We
entrance.
will give it a wide berth.
Yeah, you go a bit around that area, but you'll find parking, roughly within a block or two distance. It's not that bad. When you start walking towards the club itself, there's a bit frigid again. It's about 12:30 at this point in time. It is a Friday, so there's more people, so there's a little more heat when you guys go in line and wait because there's everybody around you. But it's still cold outside. After about 10 minutes or so, you get those two bouncers again that Preston had to deal with, when he came here last. It's a shorter guy and that larger Hispanic looking dude. They just look at you and go, oh, and just open the door for you. You walk in through that first floor and you'll see again that familiar ghoul. If he's a ghoul, you're assuming he's a ghoul, standing at the foot of the staircase that leads upstairs to the VIP balcony where the rest of the kindred usually assemble.
All right.
You manage to navigate your way across the dance floor. It's a Friday night. It's like not even 1:00 yet, and it is packed. There are humans everywhere, and it's hard to ignore the fact that there's just hot blood pumping through the veins all around you. It's like a buffet of the best shit you've ever smelled. And it's like your pick of whatever you feel like. It's just laid out before you. But you have a purpose. You want to go upstairs. You're only at one hunger. You're not that bad. So you start pushing that urge to at least get like a little bite, because you can. You push it down and make it towards the stairwell. Sullivan, you're at a 2 hunger. It's a little harder. You run across a couple of people that for you would just be easy pickings. They're just right there. They're waiting to be talked to. They're waiting to be pulled off so you can top off. But you shove it down and you make it
Yeah.
upstairs. it wouldn't be a game with these two unless somebody ended up dying. And, well, we saw somebody indeed did get killed tonight by them. No surprise. But, chaos aside, they decided to make it to the Succubus Club, and you know what? Phone calls and conversations with Jason Newberry are always fun. So let's see how the Elysium goes for him. See you next episode.